Ladies and gentlemen, today the Singapore government has spoken up on various measures that Singapore is going to undertake to confront this crisis that we're facing. And I think it's important for us to walk through to know whether we are okay or not okay, which area we need to watch out for, and the possible repercussions to the financial market. Let's watch on, shall we? Well, the high level picture is Singapore is okay. And that's a very reassuring statement from the Singapore government as Deputy Prime Ministers and various ministers step up to the podium and speak of the things that we have done before and what things are unfolding right now in Middle East and how we are well shielded from all this because of the things that we have prepared many months, many years, many decades before. So let's watch on and know where the pressure points are and where possibly what we need to do to protect ourselves from possible risks moving forward. It's important that we hit the subscribe so that you will be able to catch the latest news. There's a 48-hour ultimatum expiring tomorrow, Singapore time, 8 p.m., Malaysian time, 8 p.m. And we certainly don't want to miss that happening because it will have huge repercussions into the financial market. So the key message from Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong and the various ministers is we have got sufficient fuel and food reserves, at least for now and at least for the foreseeable future. And that's very reassuring. So in the words of Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong, he basically said this: since the start of the conflict, several countries have announced export restriction on fuel or implemented fuel rationing measure. We have not done so far. There has been no need to do so. To be able to say that we are okay, I think really takes a lot of good planning, a lot of good governing for the Singapore government to do that. So I go on. Global energy majors and trading companies have a sizable presence in Singapore. We are the world's third largest oil trading hub and the sixth largest refinery export hub. These capabilities were built up over decades. We got to thank not just the current government, but previous generations of government for building this up so that we can withstand this crisis. The message that came out from the ministers is that there are likely to be higher prices even after the hostility ends. Well, I'm going to quote them. Prices are likely to remain high even after the hostility ceases. Damage to infrastructure in the Middle East will take time to repair. We have already seen damage to the large oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and other places. I would think Qatar, Kuwait, and other places. Even if the Straits of Hormuz fully open tomorrow, global oil and gas export capacity will not be returning to the pre-conflict levels quickly. So in short, we are expected to face some inflationary pressure because of this oil and energy crisis. Well, Singapore has 4 pillars of electricity, and I think it's important because our electricity runs the whole economy. And the 4 pillars are, number one, we are now largely using LNG gas. Okay, so our LNG sources are well diversified, and we have got LNG from Australia, Singapore, Mozambique. I didn't know Mozambique. Okay, to be frank, I didn't know where Mozambique is. And beyond the Middle East, of course, we have some from Qatar, which is now being disrupted right now. Fortunately, the other sources are still running strong. And I didn't know this, but actually we got a diesel reserve, a huge diesel reserve that if we run out of gas, at least for the time being, for any disruption, we can switch over to diesel, and we got a large reserve of diesel. So this power plant can switch from natural gas to diesel when needed. And the government has stipulated that the power generation company needs to hold a mixture of natural gas and diesel reserve, and these are not tapped yet. And all the retailers are sufficiently hedged against gas price volatility, and I think these 4 pillars will do us good. Now, the gas co has stepped in to replace disrupted Qatar supply. So it was a agency set up to centralize the power sector gas procurement so that they got bargaining power from a bargaining position when you group all the whole countries, all the power generation company buying volume. So the gas co has begun buying replacement natural gas to substitute for the disrupted supply from Qatar. And the power generation company actually had pre-arranged contractual access to additional fuel. So this was something that the government has already done for many years to make sure that we have got supplies on standby, and these suppliers are obligated to deliver them within a set number of days. But we pay a higher price, I'm pretty sure. Of course, if they run out of gas and they could not deliver, this is called force majeure, then we will face some disruption. Well, talking about disruption, low probability event. That's essentially the main message from the ministers, that it is a low probability event that we will run out of electricity, but disruption cannot be ruled out. It's possible, but it's a low probability event. So if the supply disruption were to increase, then a lot of these suppliers cannot supply fuel or gas, then maybe we'll ultimately be hit. But certainly this is something that we'll watch over, but certainly we should expect prices to go up, even if there's no disruption. Now, talking about diversification of energy sources, I think it's important for us to note that solar is something that many countries have deployed. I think Minister Shanmugam actually talked about it. There's some good progress. I don't think Singapore, with all the clouds and all and everything, we have solar power to be able to generate a lot of energy. And nuclear was something being discussed. I think the decision is not made yet. I thought that Singapore, after this event, will surely go nuclear and put them in some secluded island far, far away from Singapore, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's something a decision is not big yet. And although there's a massive decarbonization effort throughout the whole world, including our region, but frankly speaking, we can't get away from fossil fuel. And I think that is something that will still happen for many years to come. Now, in short, I think in terms of energy, we're going to be okay. But I think one of the larger concerns that I seems to see from the ministerial speech in the parliament is food security, because there could be outages of food. Outages may be a wrong word to use. There could be disruption of food supply from some places. So inflation of food is most likely going to happen. Now, a lot of people didn't know this, but fertilizers are manufactured with natural gas as a key ingredient. So if natural gas is being disrupted, fertilizer cost is going to increase tremendously. And as a result, the food and animal feed is going to increase. And as a result, we're going to have higher prices. Not to mention, to deliver this food over to Singapore, given that we produce almost very little of our food supply, then all this food that are coming over will suddenly be experiencing higher cost of production, higher cost of transportation. Therefore, the price is going to set to go even higher. So Singaporeans must be prepared for flexibility. Some places may get disrupted. Some places will face higher prices. So what is the most likely outcome is that we should expect some kind of food supplies to be disrupted, and we do some switching, okay? And let's exercise some flexibility in finding alternatives. But I think in terms of strategic stockpile, I think the government has stockpiled quite a lot of essential food. So in short, the country will not starve, okay? And they are constantly looking at how to strengthen it. And I think the current arrangements are quite strong. Now, a lot of people ask, so Singapore has how many more months of fuel? And I think we have got many countries revealing this number. Actually, I always thought that it's quite silly of them to reveal a number. When you make commercial requirements or commercial discussions or negotiation with a fuel supplier, they will know how desperate you are and jack up prices. Well, so I will just say this, that Singapore will not disclose the reserve details. That's according to Minister Shanmugam and also Minister Tan See Leng as well. So disclosing details of the extent of Singapore fuel reserves and food stockpile could make Singapore vulnerable. What matters is that we have sufficient buffers and contingent plan in place. I think it's important. So the key message is this: there will be enough. Okay, so no need to rush to buy supplies of rice, oil, toilet papers, and so on. And the bottom line is that have faith in our government. They have been doing a good job, and now we can see they're still doing a good job and probably will continue to do a good job. So have faith in our government in this. Don't rush and stock up, a lot of things and cause a run in the food supply. So in short, I think in terms of resilient-wise, Singapore resilience is very strong. Fuel, we will have enough. Okay, for electricity and for oil and gas, I think we will have enough, and it's a clear message out. Prices will increase, but we will have enough. Electricity, very low risk of disruption. We have got 4 pillars in place. Again, we will have enough, but prices will increase. Well, just on these 2 points, some countries will not have enough. That's how bad it is. But at least we will have enough. In terms of food-wise, our stockpiles are good. Maybe some flexibility is needed from us to diversify some of our, switch to some alternatives, instead of eating food A, maybe eat food B, that kind of thing. And we have got a lot of contingency plan and buffers in place. Now, I think it's also important that, things can happen if this situation continues to worsen. We don't know. Let's hope it won't worsen by too much. Well, I'll just say this, looking back at what our government has done, wow, I must say this is great foresight by our government, especially the previous generations of government. They've done really very well in protecting us. So we're able to navigate through this global disruption without fear of disruption to our lives is really a powerful testament of many years and decades of proactive planning. So I think this is something we really need to say, that we have an A-grade government, and now we can see what's an A-grade government versus a non-A-grade government that we see from other countries. I'll just say this, quality of government has been proven in COVID and now also in this crisis. So, in short, it's very reassuring to know that everything is okay. Yes, we are faced with an inevitable inflation, and I think there are a lot of CDC vouchers that are brought forward, some support measures that are going to come to help us. But at least, we will be able to get through this without running out of fuel, running out of electricity. So I think as a country, we'll be okay. Let's hope that this crisis come to a resolution quickly so that all of us can move on without this fear of things could worsen. Right? I'll see you tomorrow for the breaking news of what Donald Trump will do after 8 a.m. Singapore time and Malaysian time. Okay? I'll see you also possibly in a live stream late tonight. I'll see you and good night.